if you're having any marital issues, create a TV show, right? Put your spouse in one part, have someone else playing you, have that person say the shit you wish you could say.
Thank you both for being here. Congratulations on the show. Such a phenomenal show. So much going on in it. Bill, let's just start off by talking about how, as you guys segued out of season 1, and we're kind of getting things going for season 2, what were your kind of the seeds planted that you wanted to explore more? What were some of the themes and ideas and emotions that you really wanted to dive into?
I think my mic works. Hey, everybody. What's up? It's so bleak outside. It's cool that anybody's here. We told everybody when we sold the show, Brett and I, and Brett's so good in the show, by the way. Brett Goldstein, he's a rock star. It's annoying because he's a good writer, too. But I made him shave his beard and mustache, and he looks like he's 12. So that was more of a punishment than a character thing. To make a long story short, we sold the show. The first year was about grief, and the second year is about forgiveness. And so we were intentionally laying all this stuff in the first year. Almost is a good episode to show it. Almost every character has something that they need to either forgive themselves for or forgive someone else for. And all the therapists, consultants we talk to say it's kind of the key to everything. So.
Yeah, this is. I want to note this is episode 7 of season 2, Get in the Sea. And Christa, it's a terrific episode for you to kind of talk about. Obviously, all the layers that Liz is going through. There's so much depth to your character, and there's so much going on with her. What was it like, kind of exploring kind of all of these, kind of the vulnerable sides of Liz, and some of the more of those ideas?
I don't love the part that you kiss other people.
That was so fun. That was so fun, and Josh Hopkins is so cute. But you know, I had a moment in.
This is already the worst.
It's not the worst. I had a moment in season 1 that I got vulnerable on a line that wasn't supposed to be, and the writers went, "Oh, maybe that's where we want to, explore with Liz." And I thought, I have so many friends my age that are going through empty nest syndrome and been married a long time and want to find a passion, but it's hard to go out of nothing. What's my passion? It's what is it going to be? And same thing happens to actors when you're not working. Like, how are you staying on a schedule? And now my kids are out of the house. It's kind of depressing. And I wanted to kind of represent all these women that are going through this struggle, and a lot of women come up to me and say, I'm going through the same thing. And then in turn, I do have friends I have a friend who is a stay-at-home mom, 3 kids went to college, and she started her own pot business, for menopausal women. Like, I have friends doing that or went back to school, but it's hard to get the momentum going to do that. And I think you make mistakes. I think when you're in a bored, I don't know what to do, I think you're making mistakes.
But never in real life. Never mistakes like that in real life.
You keep me working all the time. I don't have time to be making mistakes. That's what Bill does. We will have no downtime, so there will be nothing. You don't have to make mistakes.
I often ask artists, and especially because we have a room full of actors here, of course, I often ask artists, like, what was the key to their character? But it's interesting to hear you talk about Liz that way, because if the key is sort of that she's on shaky ground, that's a really interesting place to start from as a performer, where, like, the key is sort of this nebulous gray area, and where she goes from there, right? Do you agree with that?
That's by the way, you're very good at this. We've never interacted, by the way. You guys have probably seen him before. He's very good at this. I'm going to give Christa some props, because we did something that we thought was a joke the first year, which was Jason Segel did a monologue about Chris's character Liz looking for her purpose. It's not over here. It's not over in my house. Where's your purpose? And the line she's talking about, which was we thought it was just a throwaway line, was when she tells another character that she heard them saying that she was such a mom, and she took it as a painful thing, like that's all she was. And I was moved by it, because our last kid is 18. And he's splitting very soon, and the gender stuff has split because she's taking it in stride and I'm falling apart, but whatever.
Bill is weeping over it. I'm like, peace out. Have my house to myself.
But yeah, it's so astute. So one of the cool things that I get to do, some of you have noticed, I'm sure that I use a lot of the same actors and actresses, even up there. There's Neil Flynn is in that from Scrubs, and Josh Hopkins in that from Cougar Town, and Brett Goldstein's in that from Ted. I only know 20 actors. But when you get to know people, they bring an added level of depth. And as a writer, they sometimes tell you, like, hey, this is a fruitful area to explore. So they kind of help you with the process.
Yeah. That moment about it comes in a flashback moment, of course, when we see Tia and they're walking down the driveway and they're talking. They say, as Liz walks by, she's such a mom. And I think that's just so interesting. And Christa, I would imagine also that there's that sense of, oh, I thought I found something. It's the food truck stuff. That's not it. There's also that thing of I thought I was going to go left. Turns out going right's the better way. And as an actor, that's really a rich area to work from, right?
It is, because you know that feeling. I mean, personally, it's a feeling I hate to be in when you have anxiety and then you feel overwhelmed because, like, where do you start? It could be about your house being messy. You know, you have anxiety that you feel overwhelmed, and then personally, I feel paralyzed. So it was that feeling, that stuck feeling, and then you make bad decisions, whether it's being in a bathtub and drinking wine or drinking too much wine at night, or none of these things are the answer, you know, or whatever it is. And it's so, I mean, personally, I'm really careful when I'm not working. I try to keep, I keep a very strict schedule of what's going on. I think that's very helpful. But I love that they paid homage to women that have so much in them and are creative and or smart, everything, and they can do. We have a whole other. Your life should get bigger as you get older, not smaller.
Right. Bill mentioned that he only knows 20 actors, but I would love to have a round of applause for this amazing ensemble. Jason Segel, Jessica Williams, Harrison Ford. Get the hands together, guys. Luke Tenney, Ted McGinley, Michael Urie, Lukita Maxwell. Obviously, all of them are so terrific. And so many in here.
Oh, my favorite thing to do. Look, I've been a comedy writer forever, and the coolest thing for me, and I'm sure there's performers in here that are like that, is when you take actresses and actors that are known mainly for, I started when they're still multi-camera sitcoms, guys, so right. They were mainly known for, having a great skill at delivering punchlines. And obviously, I'm the biggest fan in the world of my wife, but to watch like Ted McGinley, who for a lot of us grew up watching him in Married with Children and Happy Days, the guy's such a good actor.
He's great.
Do you know what I mean? And he just crushes. Everybody on the show crushes.
So fantastic. And I'll talk about a little bit more, obviously, in a moment, Christa, about how you and Ted kind of work out that dynamic, because it's so terrific. But I also want to, you mentioned Brett Goldstein. I want to talk about how important it was in terms of the forgiveness theme to kind of have Lewis's point of view in there. Obviously, Bill, right?
It was the whole season depended on. Look, this story's been told, but I'll do it quick. I didn't think Brett was going to be the guy for this, because I fell prey to what happens to people, or to actors and actresses all the time. I'm like, what do you mean? You're Roy Kent. You got a beard and you're mean and you're gruff. And by the way, that's so fucked up, because when I met Brett, he wasn't an actor really. He was a writer. We were writing. I hired him to write on that show because he's an old buddy of mine. And then he was great as Roy Kent. And then I'm like, dude, this part needs to be somebody that people immediately feel empathy for, even though he did this horrible, horrible, horrible thing. And I said, Jason Segel championed him and said, we should have Brett do it. And I said, look, man, I don't see it. Actually says Brett, because I don't see it, but I trust you. And if you think you can do it, I'm behind you 100%. But if you fuck it up, the whole year's blown and it won't work. And he did it anyways. And then the only fun thing for me, as I said, was I said, you got to shave your beard and mustache so you look like you're 12. The problem, I don't know if you guys have seen, like, on Ted Lasso, Brett Goldstein with his shirt off, his beard grows back like every 9 minutes. Right. So the dude had to shave like 3 times a day. It was ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be like, cut, we're going to need to shave him again.
Well, we are in the Robin Williams Theater, and I think that's actually called, I think Robin would say, it's Robin Williams disease, right? It's also
hairy men. Hairy,
yes,
talented, funny men.
And now you're doing Steve Carell's show.
Yes. Oh, also a hairy man, yes.
Yes, right. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They
oh my God! I found a new niche, of super hairy actors. I'm trying to think of who else I have to work with.
How long does it take you to grow in a beard?
I've not shaved in 3 years. That's true. It's so sad.
Well, if you guys haven't seen the full season, which I obviously recommend because it's phenomenal, Christa, you and Ted really work things out as Liz and Derek kind of find a way kind of back to themselves. But it presents a growth, and that scene that we see there at the kitchen table at the kitchen island really finds these other notes. There's a note that we haven't seen in Liz, and there's another depth to Derek that we hadn't seen. Kind of let's talk about kind of working with Ted and kind of finding that right caliber.
Well, Ted is, I mean, besides the fact that he kills comedy, he has so much depth to him as a person and is a very vulnerable, sweet guy, a lovely guy, will cry at the drop of a hat. He is such a great dad. And he, I mean, I love Ted McGinley. He was really, really upset, as were, by the way, so I do the kiss.
Can I tell them that the text, is this the text he sent me? About the Cincinnatis?
Yeah.
Can I do it too?
But do it first, the boom guy. So we're shooting the thing, and this crew. The thing about this show is because of Bill, who has a no asshole policy, who other people say they have, but Bill really has it. Like from the top down, and Jason, it's a magical show that everyone supports each other. We're all friends. There's usually one villain in the cast. That's not happening here. So crew, everyone, and so I do the kissing scene with Josh, and because they want to get it all, they're panning around. So the kiss was not 2 seconds, obviously. Also, I have as my opportunity, to be making out. I'm not gonna miss an opportunity. So the kiss, and so I'm leaving, and our boom guy not laughing. He was like, "That was not 2.5 Cincinnati," and the whole crew's looking at me. And then, so you can tell
Ted McGinley, because he wasn't in that scene, he watched a cut when he was in having to do ADR and loop his lines, and he's like, "Dude, that was like fucking 6 Cincinnati," and I counted. As he's like, it's absolute horseshit. He was taking it personally.
He sent a video to us of him counting.
The video of that scene with him in the background going, 1 Cincinnati, 2 Cincinnati. And by the way, it wasn't a joke, right? He was, and look, we don't talk about this a lot. I'm going to talk about it anyways. We don't talk about this a lot, but the very surreal thing for me, I was even hiding back there watching it, is the writing staff knows that Ted McGinley is on some level playing.
He's Bill is Ted McGinley.
So he's playing me, okay? And
I'm
so
not Liz.
You're not Liz, but Ted is me. It's an opportunity for me to have a character say all the shit I wish I had the courage to say.
Wait, say the speech. So Bill was so excited. He said, "I wrote this speech."
I wrote a speech. You're going to love the scene. It was the first year when, because my wife, I would wear my wife on a baby Bjorn facing me if I could. I just like being around her, right? And she needs space. And I wrote a scene the first year that she tells Ted McGinley if he's going to retire, he has to find ways to get out of the house so it doesn't drive her crazy. And he goes, "Look, I'm saying this with love. I love you, but I busted my ass for 40 years. And if you don't want to be around me, maybe you need to find something to do to get the fuck out of the house." And by the way, I watched them shoot that scene like this.
Wait, and I did not have the retort that I personally would have had of like, "Have you lost your mind? Rent an office."
She had to say the lines that were written and be like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
We were.
So here's if you're having any marital issues, create a TV show, right? Put your spouse in one part, have someone else playing you, have that person say the shit you wish you could say.
You make fun of me, it bounces right off. Exactly, I love that stuff. Right, exactly. We were talking out before we came on stage, Christa, about your terrific work as the music supervisor on this show, as you have for so many shows. Let's kind of talk about the magic of that and how maybe sometimes kind of obviously your work as a performer informs the music supervision and vice versa, and what goes into obviously these phenomenal music cues that are going on throughout the show.
I'm not interrupting you. I'm going to start. No, but you're going to like it. She doesn't like to brag about herself. Scrubs was the first show I created myself. And one of the things, that's so nice. The thing I knew that would make it work, when I tried to sell that show, the network president, everybody turned it down except one place. He said, "I don't think you can do a broad, silly comedy that then switches to life or death stakes and have people give a shit." And I remember I said, it didn't go well in this pitch, but I said, "I think if you turn down the lights in the hospital and play a great song, it'll work." And even though that was a joke, I meant it. And the reason Scrubs worked was because I asked my wife for help, because she used to do that as a young, you can tell them. And she picked every song in that show. She's been the music supervisor for Ted Lasso, for all my shows. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's the coolest, most fun job. So, but thank you. But first of all, it helps me so much as an actor because I bank music like 6 months before the show. And obviously I'm privy to Bill saying, well, this year is about forgiveness. And I know what this year is about. So I'm, thinking when I hear these songs, I think of not only my character, but other characters, and I can really get into the moment. And then during the week, I listen, I have a very long drive to work. I have a very long commute. Everyone else in our show lives near set, but I do not. And so I listen to music and I think of the...
Your life is fine.
My life is good. So, but I listen to the songs and I think of the songs for that week. And, also I have access to Bill. So on the weekends I drive him... he's being sweet about it, but I do drive him crazy and make him... Anytime we go to dinner, we have to listen to music. And I don't let him talk because he talks enough. And I make him listen to music.
Bouncing off.
It's bouncing off.
It's bouncing right off. Bill, to wrap up, how did the ensemble's chemistry maybe from season 1 inform any of the creative decisions for season 2? Did you obviously you knew everybody would bounce off each other beautifully? But.
Outstanding question. So look, I think comedy especially is so actor performer dependent because. When I started out, you had a 22, sometimes 26 episode season, right? So when we did the first year of Spin City or Scrubs, we would say, hey, let's spend time together, do everything to develop chemistry as a cast, and try to see what works. Nowadays, when you're doing these 8 and 10 episode orders, it's literally the subtext is, if you're doing a show like this, let's all pretend that we have a shorthand and are connected and are friends immediately. And if you can't pull it off in the first 2, 3, 4 episodes, you're doomed. And so I think one of the way a lot of writing staffs have evolved is they look at shows and see what's working and lean into it. We're lucky on 2 fronts. One, culturally, Jason Segel is a co-creator of the show and an executive producer, and he sets the tone on the show. And he's so gregarious and so friendly and so sensitive and empathetic. It made everything easy at the beginning. And the second one is a super talented writing staff that Christa and Jessica Williams' characters were never supposed to be friends. The first year of the show, when they had a fight, there was so much comedic chemistry in it that we changed the end of that scene to you want to go get drunk, and we made those two an unlikely friendship.
Wait, but you know why I also changed? Because Bill is really inclusive of all the writers, so any writer that's working on the script, they'll come to set. And we were having this big fight, even in that vulnerable moment, and we play music in between things, and Jessica and I are dancing and laughing, and then the writer was like, oh no, they're friends.
So we decide as we go what characters are working and what matchups kind of work, and we lean into it. And what we're really lucky about in this show is look, you guys have all heard it if you're living the life and you're in the world. It became familial very fast. And I think those are the shows that at least that I respond to the most, are the ones that you go, I bet you those people are hanging out after work and shooting the shit about the stuff they just did.
Well, one of the amazing things about this show is that it tends to go back and forth, because in the sense that we feel familial as well, and I feel like if you're feeling that dynamic of those are people who hang out, we also feel like the show is informing our lives in a lot of ways, and I think it's just it's a beautiful thing. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, it's too kind, man. Yeah. It's what I love to write. Yeah. You know what I mean? By the way, just so you guys know, I talk about this a lot. My favorite show, if anybody asks me, is a show called Veep, which I think is just different characters finding new ways to be horrible to each other. It's so fucking good. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I can't write it, but I'm a massive fan, and my world is usually, kind of based around kindness and optimism and some hopefulness. Not because I'm trying. Oh, please, I'm not. But it's not. It's selfish. It's because where we're at right now, I kind of need it in my own life. So to go and be around that world at work is a gift.
Yeah. Well, this terrific show. Let's have a round of applause, please, for Bill
so
Lawrence
cool
and
you guys
Christa Miller.
come out.
And the show is shrinking on Apple TV. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it, everybody.